What's up, boys and girls? It's your guy Matt RDK with episode 6 of the Story Continues cast. You already know, inspired by Cody Rhodes, wearing that Cody Rhodes merch. And you might be able to see a little new piece of the decoration added to the set. My little Cody Rhodes plaque. I'm not trying to flex. I just love this man. That was a historic moment. Story finished. We now have a podcast. And today on episode 6, we are talking about the upcoming PLE, which is once again an overseas WWE production, as they will be in, I believe it's Glasgow, Scotland, aka Drew McIntyre country, for WWE Clash of the Castle. And today joining me is once again one of our rotating hosts, Rivera, the same man that was with me for episode 3, talking about King and Queen of the Ring. So we're very excited to dive into all the crazy news going on with WWE right now. Talk about this upcoming match card, which, disclaimer, we currently have 5 matches. We think it's going to stay that way, but we're actually recording during Raw. Like, Raw is about to go live any second now, so they might add a Akira Tozawa match or something random. But up until this point, we have the 5 matches that we're going to go off of. But my intro is getting a little wordy. So, Rivera, how you doing today, man? And are you ready to talk about Clash of the Castle?
I am. I'm definitely going to say I'm way more excited about this PLE than I was King of the Ring. Mm-hmm. Not that King of the Ring was like terrible. It's just that I feel like the hype going into like Scotland and like all the loudness of like the crowds prior, since pretty much Backlash, like everyone wants to see who can top who, and I feel like Scotland's got it. I feel like Scotland has a chance to be up there.
Okay, even over France, huh? Like, France was crazy. Seeing the camera shake and everything, you think they can top it?
I hope so, especially for Drew McIntyre. I mean, I'm very excited to see their reaction to him, because, you know, we have, just spoilers, it's Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, and yes, in this case, it's a heel versus heel, but Drew McIntyre is walking in there as a babyface because they're in Scotland. So it's going to be loud.
Yep.
Definitely.
And to add on to that point, before we dive into the matches, we do want to talk about a couple miscellaneous things going on in WWE. And you already brought up one of them that I really wanted to mention, which I guess I would have had the opportunity to bring up during the McIntyre Priest talk later in the episode. With McIntyre being a babyface, with it being seemingly the time where he's going to finally win the world title in front of his home crowd, seemingly, we'll talk about that later. Do you think it's time, Rivera? Is he coming out to Broken Dreams? Is it fine? And I'm not talking about what they did last time, where they played like the intro and then they switched to his current song. I'm talking like the full theme song of Broken Dreams. He comes out and like just basks in that moment. I'm hoping for it, but do you think we're going to see that?
My heart wants to say hell fucking yes, let's do it, but they're not. I feel like they're just not gonna. They hate us as consumers.
What's it called? Gallantry. Do do do.
Yeah.
Or what if he just gets fucking like Def Rebel? They're like, I am Drew McIntyre, and then it's just like fucking bagpipes or something. Great.
It's gonna be like CM Punk, and then someone comes out with like bagpipes or whatever, because he can't stop talking about CM Punk, even though he's not even fighting the guy at Clash of the Castle.
It's true. They're clearly, building up to some type of long-term rivalry, whether it's gonna be SummerSlam or WrestleMania 41. We'll see, but we will dive into Drew later in the episode when we talk match by match. But some news. There's a lot missing from this card, which, I mean, we know that Triple H does like his smaller cards. I mean, Backlash was, I believe, a 4 or 5 match card. King and Queen of the Ring was a 4 or 5 match card. And so far, as I said, we only have 5 matches here. But I think some noticeable highlights. We have no Logan Paul defending the United States title, which means no LA Knight, no Carmelo Hayes, with that whole rivalry brewing. We have no Liv Morgan, which pre-podcast, you said you had something to say about that. And I'm sure there's probably another title or a big star that I'm missing, but what do you think of all these like absences from this match card so far?
So specifically for the Liv Morgan thing, I think that they're kind of just, now that she has the title and she's on her like little revenge tour or whatever, I think they're just gonna pretty much focus on Liv, it almost looks like they're gonna try to do what they wanted to do with Cody Rhodes, how Cody Rhodes told Roman Reigns that he wants to take everything from him and everything. It almost seems like they're doing that type of style of storyline with Liv Morgan instead, while by like making Liv Morgan take everything away from Rhea. So I feel like as much as I would love Liv to have more of like some title feuds in the future, I think it's gonna be a big focus on her trying to get into Judgment Day, trying to take over Judgment Day, take it away from Rhea, and specifically take her Dom away. And I think that that's gonna probably overshadow, the storyline's gonna overshadow more of like a title feud with Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think the title is only in play here to have the whole story have more meaning. Right. You know, we had even discussed it during the King and Queen of the Ring. The whole reason Becky Lynch won in the first place was just to bolster her stats. she has no story. She's already, you know, done it all. Like they were like,
Insert Hogan mean.
Yep, literally. Dun, dun, dun. Like they didn't want Liv to just, you know, have her big crowning moment in a battle royal. Like it all makes sense now that we've seen it play out. But I agree. I do think the Judgment Day, at least story-wise, has kind of ran WWE, other than the Bloodline, obviously. It kind of has like that 1B story in WWE for the past year, 2 years, and Rhea has had a huge part in that. But I do think, you know, I'm not trying to compare, make a whole debate over is Liv just as good as Rhea, but I think Liv does have a lot of momentum. Like when I hop on social media, if I wasn't a wrestling fan and I happen to follow WWE, I would say like right now, at least half of the clips I'm seeing are Liv Morgan and Dom clips. It's the romance story. It's just like it's what's getting clicks right now. Like it's working. Yeah. And yeah, I do think that you know, she's a talented wrestler, but that's just not gonna be the focus. It's gonna be the focus on these developments. Is she working with Finn all along? Is she gonna be teaming with Dom in the future? We'll see, but we're not gonna see a Clash at the Castle.
No, I think that like you could very much tell that with that title, they weren't like, they didn't expect Rhea to like have to drop it right after WrestleMania almost, and they kind of like, it's similar to kind of like Cody Rhodes' title run right now. I although the AJ storyline is really good, I still think that this whole title reign is leading up to his fight with The Rock. And same thing with Liv Morgan, is that this title reign is ultimately just, they're just filling in the holes until she fights Rhea at the end. And then Rhea's going to come back with a vengeance.
100%. It's always about the bigger picture, and that's what it seems like, you know, Papa Triple H is all about, is these storylines, fleshing it out. And while, I mean, I don't know if they're still calling it sports entertainment, but while he's definitely moving more towards, I would say, somewhat of a more wrestling-based focus, those storylines are never going to leave. After the success of that Bloodline story, like, every feud's going to start getting that treatment. And there's a couple other matches on this card. Like I feel like Chad Gable's the first one like to come to mind that like they're just letting the storylines marinate in WWE right now. And yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot of Liv Morgan because, as I said earlier, it's what's in, it's what's getting the clicks, and it's what's hot. That's what's going on. But before we move on to the biggest piece of news in WWE right now, I did mention Logan Paul earlier. What do you kind of see? Like, are we just not going to get shit from him until SummerSlam? I know right now it seems like some kind of triple threat with LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes might be loading, but it's not officially on the card as of yet. Well, what do you kind of see with like the whole U.S. title picture?
I mean, like, what's beneficial about Logan Paul is that he is an online influencer, so I feel like he really could just stay in the sidelines. Like I think what he and LA Knight are doing right now is pretty good. I mean, I feel like SummerSlam is kind of a long time to be waiting, but it's really only 2 more months, and we have PLEs before it that will get us excited for it. I think that they're pretty much just gonna wait. Logan Paul is gonna talk his shit online. LA Knight's gonna talk his shit on TV, and it's just gonna be a back, and then Carmelo Hayes is gonna be like, hey, don't forget about me. Type of thing. So, and I don't think Logan Paul's probably, maybe we'll get a couple TV appearances from Logan Paul, but I don't think we're gonna get like a match until SummerSlam, just so that, you know, Cleveland, Ohio is his home. It's just gonna be like the big pop for Logan. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be a bunch of promo back and forth, which fine by me. These are the two perfect guys that can do this. Like LA Knight can talk his shit, and so can Logan.
100%, and I agree. I mean, Logan, he's one of those guys, like, he just won me over. Like, growing up, I hated this guy. I hated his guts. I hated his content. I hated him as a person. I was like, I can't stand that. Why is this guy successful? But as a wrestling fan, just seeing how seriously he's taking it and just put on banger after banger after banger, and just seeing, like, at the end of the day, this man's just gifted. He's got it, I've become excited. Like, I feel like his feuds are good. And as you said, he's just not... It's weird because, when Roman Reigns had his historic title reign, he would just disappear. Like, no social media promos, no nothing. And that's what got people annoyed. They're like, what the hell? He's not even doing nothing. But I feel like with Logan Paul, he's never actually gone. Like, he's not fighting day in, day out on Raw and SmackDown. But he's out here posting a promo on TikTok that's going to get millions of views, and he happens to have the US title on his shoulder or in the background. Like, he's always going to have a presence, and he's just, even if you want to get rid of Logan Paul, you can't. Like, he's going to find, whether it's his prime advertising or his own content, he's going to find a way onto your screen, your TV screen, your phone screen, your laptop screen, your iPad screen. He's going to find a way. So I agree.
Even as little, he literally was at the Tetris World Championship, I think this past weekend, and he brought the title with him. Like, it's just the most randomest places, and he's there with the title. He's just a walking billboard for WWE and himself.
Yep.
He is a megastar. I hate to say it, but he is a megastar, whether you love Logan Paul or not.
100%. It's a no-brainer partnership for WWE. They're just taking it, especially in such a social media age. The perfect guy to have. Having an influencer. And I just saw this, very off topic, but it does relate to Logan, because Mr. Beast just did a video with like a shit ton of creators, and I saw in the group picture Logan Paul is like in the background, like part of this video. I'm like, it's WWE superstar. Wait, oh no. That's what it is now. Like, I'm just so accepting of Paul as a WWE superstar that I forget he's just as big in like the content creation community. Like, that man's just thriving. And I agree. I do think, Clash of the Castle, as we're going to dive into very soon, has plenty of matches. 5 matches, if you consider that plenty. But enough matches to get by where Logan doesn't have to be on the card. And his online presence is definitely enough to still keep him, relevant and newsworthy. And talking about news, I feel like there's just one big story right now in the internet wrestling community, where even some of the other guys, AEW, they're all chiming in. I even saw their world champ, Swerve Strickland, had something to say. Ricochet has been rumored, and just about confirmed almost, to be leaving WWE. Which, right off the bat, the number one conversation topic has been, does that mean Samantha Irvin is following? I don't know. But right off the bat, impressions, what do you think of this news? Where do you think he's going? Obviously he's probably not gonna have a match at Clash at the Castle, but what do you think of this whole situation?
It's honestly a little bit heartbreaking. Although Ricochet was never known for his promos, never in the Indies or in the WWE, but that man was a perfect 5-star machine. You put him in there with anybody, he makes him look like $1 million.
Even Logan Paul?
I was about to say, he did it with Logan Paul. He made Ilya Dragunov look fantastic. It's a big bummer because it looks like they were building up for this triple threat with Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. And unfortunately, with all the rumors spreading around, it seems like tonight's Raw is going to be his last appearance on a WWE television. So that does suck that we're not ever going to get that payoff for those three. And I just feel like Ricochet got shafted by the WWE for many years. It sucks to see him go, but good for him. I think that wherever he goes, AEW, TNA, maybe he just wants to go around the Matt Cardona and just kind of go around the indies and just do one-offs everywhere. He's gonna make a killing no matter where he goes. They're at the promotion that's gonna take him is gonna take him, and they're just gonna actually use him. He's gonna be able to wrestle and show off his skills. And I'm wherever he goes, I'll keep an eye out. I'll watch his matches. Definitely, he's he's a really good professional wrestler. Maybe not that great of a sports entertainer, but a professional wrestler he is.
100%. And with that whole perspective, the first person I think of is AJ Styles. I remember when AJ Styles first came to WWE from TNA, people were like, he just doesn't really fit the mold of a WWE superstar. Like, he's got all these high flying moves and shit, and like he's just too sculpted from TNA, the TNA style, which is just, you know, every wrestling promotion has their own little style, look, appearance. But I feel like AJ Styles very quickly, you know, in dominant fashion adapted to WWE. He slowed down his match style. He slowed down his wrestling style. He had the whole 2016 run, the house that AJ Styles built, where he was the world champ. And nowadays, you know, he's one of their top stars. He had Undertaker's retirement match. Like, he did just fine in WWE. Ricochet is one of those examples where he's never adapted. He never changed. I know he was in Lucha Underground. I want to say he was in Ring of Honor. He may have dabbled in New Japan. Like, I know he's been in a bunch of different places, and I've always seen old clips of him. And he, like you said, he is a great professional wrestler. He would definitely fit AEW's style. He would obviously fit TNA or any of the smaller companies, where he just has a lot less pressure to be doing promos, because obviously WWE is like, if you can't talk on the mic, you're gonna get Shinsuke Nakamura treatment, where like maybe they'll give you a little bit of a push, but then you're never gonna actually make it to the top. I do think it's just a good move for Ricochet. I remember I had actually gone to an AEW event, I don't know, a couple months ago. It was when Will Ospreay was around, and I went with my one friend B-Grass, who does the AEW episodes, and we met up with one of B-Grass's friends as well. And funny enough, as we were like driving home, the friend was like, oh my god, like, yeah, SmackDown's coming through soon. Like, I remember one time I was at a WWE event, and like, he just started shitting on Ricochet. He was like, yeah, I remember after this one event, like, you know, the show finished, and they were like, oh, we got one more bonus match, and it was a Ricochet match. And his friend's like, you know, nobody cares about Ricochet, so everyone just left. And I was like, man, like, but I know how talented Ricochet is. Like, that's just how he was treated in WWE. And I don't want to say it wasn't specifically WWE's fault. You know, this man did win the Intercontinental title, the United States Championship. One of his crowning achievements is Samantha Irvin. At the end of the day, you know, he did find success in WWE, and he was the first ever Speed champion. But yeah, I just don't think he was ever going to win the big one. There was just not much left for him. And I do think, you know, he might as well bet on himself and see where it can go in the future.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, that does just kind of add in a whole nother wrap of a void, like you said. Like, we're never going to get that Breaker, Dragunov triple threat. It's a void that's from Clash at the Castle and future PLEs, because that's not going to happen. And yeah, as we're talking, maybe Ricochet already appeared on air and said his goodbyes, or I don't even know if WWE's going to let him have that moment. They might just write him off with a loss or something. But, you know, best of luck to Ricochet wherever he goes. I mean, you know, as a wrestling fan, I'll also be watching AEW, so if anything, I'll probably get to see more Ricochet matches, because I actually watch AEW a little bit more, like, I guess, like, lengthwise in a week. But I do think, unless there was anything you wanted to bring up before we dive into the matches, that about sums up the voids of this card and the news going on. So I would like to dive into the matches, which I do have our match card, which as of right now is 5 matches, and I think we should start with the Women's Tag Team Championship, which reminds me, there's actually no men's tag team match on this card. No Awesome Truth, no Theory and Waller. Just no tag team programs going on right now. But there is a women's tag match, and it will be Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, your champions, against Baszler and Stark versus, so it's like a triple threat tag match, Alba Fire and I'm gonna slaughter her first name, Isla Dawn. What do you think about this?
It should have been a ladder match. That's all I'm saying. It really, like, I was talking about this with my friend, and what is WWE's like fear on stipulation matches? I feel like if they like, with that card right there, it just Bianca and Jade wins. You put it in like a stipulation, like a ladder match, there's potential they don't win because it's no DQ. You know, the two heel tags can cheat, or well, cheat, but like fight dirty, and they might actually have a chance to win these big babyface tag teams. But when you don't put a stipulation on it, Bianca and Jade wins here. It just it's not exciting. Well, it is exciting. Jade has been really great in the ring lately. She's been wrestling more, taking bumps more. Yeah. She is exciting to watch, and Bianca's always been exciting to watch. But Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark aren't the most aren't my favorite to watch. Yeah. And Isla Dawn and the other one have not been on TV in like ages. I saw them in a dark match one time fighting Zelina and like Michin or something when I went to SmackDown last year, and they're good. I'm not saying they're bad or anything. They're great, but it's just like it's two big mega single stars versus just like people stuck in the tag division. It's just gonna. I think Jade and Bianca are gonna win here, just with the lack of stipulation.
Yeah, you summed it up very well. I don't got much to say on this one. I wish I did, because I am a huge fan of Jade ever since she came over from AEW. And yeah, like you said, Bianca's always held it down. She's been the John Cena of WWE's female division. But I'm just not invested. Like, I'm happy for the two of them as champs. Like, you know, there's just no program for them right now, being the world title on another brand when, you know, Bayley's got it locked down, and obviously Liv Morgan's going on her very long tour, which is going to last quite some time until Rhea can come back. There's just nothing for Bianca and Jade yet. You know, Jade isn't necessarily ready, and Bianca's had her moment. Like, the fans will just continue to turn on her if she's still pushed down your throat with the world title. So like I completely understand, and I endorse and support them being the tag champs right now. I think it's another accolade for both of them. It's a good spot. It helps Jade get more in-ring ability, as you talked about, taking bumps and just more experience before she inevitably moves on to being a mega single star with a mega push as she had in AEW. But yeah, this match very much just feels like a filler match. It's just there to be like, look, we put another women's match on the card. Don't be mad at us. Like, it very much just feels like, you know, like, let's show off Bianca and Jade, give them like enhancement match without the stipulation. Yeah, it's like very clear cut. There's no way that these two lose. So it's more like I'm not excited. Like, I do think, you know, anytime you have Jade and Bianca in a match, it will be an attraction of sorts, but it's just not necessarily anything you're invested in. You're not like, I can't wait for the next page of the Bloodline story. I can't wait to see how the Judgment Day story unfolds. I can't wait to see, you know, Chad Gable's next move. You're not saying that about this match. You're not saying, I can't wait to see if Zoe Stark can pull off and finish her story. Like, you're not saying it because they just haven't built it up to that. So, yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that's it. That's all I got for that one.
There's not much. Even, like, watching it weekly, there really isn't much to that. Like, Isla Dawn, and I keep forgetting. Alba Fire, there you go. I keep forgetting the other one. They only kind of injected themselves into that feud kind of just like recently. So it's just like, I guess, like, at least like Zoe Stark and Shayna has the whole Sonya Deville storyline going on with them. And so I'm just kind of trying to teach them how to be superstars. I do really like that storyline. But then Alba Fire and Isla Dawn just kind of like injected themselves in there, probably to get pinned, but we'll see.
100%. Luckily though, as I said, it's another women's match on the card. There is an actual good match. That's kind of mean to say. There is a women's match that I'm really looking forward to on this card. Bayley, Piper Niven, women's. That's not the world champion. That's the women's WWE championship. I think that's what they're calling it. Just the women's. Yeah. So it's Bayley's second PLE defense, because I don't think she fought a King and Queen of the Ring, but it's her first one-on-one PLE defense of this reign, and it will be against the hometown girl, you know, Piper Niven. How are you dissecting this one?
Unlike them building up Alba Fire and the other tag team match card, they've done a really good job at building Piper Niven in this situation, having her partner up with Chelsea Green. They're kind of doing their like sneaky like Chelsea's the talking piece, Piper's the power piece. I think this is only the beginning of something bigger. I think that I said this last year's Money in the Bank, that in 2024 that I think that Chelsea Green should win the Money in the Bank. And that's only really because I like Chelsea Green's character. But now that we're getting closer and closer to Money in the Bank, and they have this dynamic with each other, I think that I think Bayley's going to win, but I think this is just going to start something in Piper and Chelsea. And Chelsea may win that Money in the Bank since they're in Canada. She's a Canadian. Get that pop. And I think they're going to go on like a one of those title reigns where they're both the world champion.
Yeah.
like Chelsea has Piper as a bodyguard. It seems like that's the route they're going. Obviously Nia Jax will probably be somewhere in between that plot line, because it seems like that's what they're building for. I'm really excited. Bayley matches are always great. Piper is obviously Scottish, so it's just another pop for Piper Niven. She's gonna go in there, actually get the pop she deserves, get her flowers. I think it's gonna be an incredible match. I think it'll definitely be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one because it's finally a fitting showcase. And I say that because King and Queen of the Ring, I think we had talked about how I'm glad that Nia Jax is having her moment, but at least for me, she's still just not doing it for me. And that's not saying that, I do think there have been, larger women athletes in WWE and just wrestling that have put on great shows. There was Awesome Kong in TNA for years, and she just was badass. And I would say Piper Niven is a good example of someone that she's always been pretty underrated, very overlooked. She's always put on, really good matches, but just kind of was always lost in the shuffle. I don't know if it's because of looks or just because, it just was never her time. But the whole point I'm trying to make is with King and Queen of the Ring, I was happy for Nia Jax. It was different, but it just still didn't captivate me. I was okay, I'm just not the biggest Nia Jax fan. But for Piper Niven to have this match, in her hometown, I just think it's, very well-deserved. She's been putting in work. She's been here in WWE. She's been through the ringer. I mean, for the longest time, she was Dewdrop? she had to fight her way through the mud to finally get her way back up as Piper Niven to now have a World Heavyweight Championship match in her hometown. I also do think it will be Bayley retaining. Bayley's a megastar as well, so it's only fitting that she gets a nice long reign to go with it. But yeah, I definitely do see Chelsea probably winning the Money in the Bank. That's a great correlation you made, that she'll also be in Canada. Any Canadian star in Canada will get a mega pop. And I do think if anyone is to take that title off Bayley, it will be a newer champion. I don't see Io Sky just taking it back. I don't see a Becky Lynch or a Charlotte taking it off of her. They're not gonna have a horsewoman take it off of 4 horsewomen. It's gonna be someone new, and I do think the candidates definitely would be either Chelsea Green or Piper Niven. But I'm gonna give the win to Bayley now. But I think down the road, Bayley is having her first collision with the duo that is inevitably gonna take the title off of her. And yeah, I think that would be a very fun reign because both Niven and Chelsea Green definitely, deserve the accolade, the run. They've just been putting in work. They've both been just dragged in the mud by WWE, or in Chelsea's case, cut by WWE and then brought back. So yeah, I think there's a lot of positives coming out of this storyline, and I'm more invested in it, which is what the point I was trying to make about the tag match. I'm just not invested. But with this, I'm invested, and I'm looking forward to this women's match. But I feel like we've already dissected a lot, but we're not even halfway there. We got 3 to go. And the undercard match, the mid-carder match for this pay-per-view is Sami Zayn, who I know we had a great conversation about last time we were on the episode together, and Chad Gable. No big Bronson Reed this time, so he's not there to take no pain. It's Gable versus Zayn, 101 Intercontinental Championship. Is it Gable's time now, or is Zayn going to pull out a win and continue his reign?
I'm a believer that I think Gable needs to walk out of Clash of the Castle with the title. I think from if he doesn't, well, if he doesn't, I guess like I can accept like maybe like Otis interfering and finally like, you know, manning up to Gable, and he gets that pop, gets those flowers, and Sammy overcomes. But like if they're gonna have Gable lose clean, I'm just gonna lose interest in this whole storyline as a whole. And we, like we said, we talked about last time where Sammy's just like not super impressing as a champion. He still hasn't impressed me.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, still nothing from me. So I think we just need someone new with that title. The only way I can see Gable losing this is by Otis. Otis finally caves and like stands up to Gable.
Yep, 1000%. This match just needs a payoff, and there's two options. One is either that Otis turn. You know, there's just another development there with the Alpha Academy imploding. That's payoff one. Or payoff two is just straight up Gable wins the title. Because I think, especially after Gunther just had that historic reign, there is no need for Sammy to have a super long reign. You know, he's already established. He's going to be one of your top baby faces always. And unless you obviously turn him heel, which he's an okay heel, but he's always been a better baby face. There's just no need. Like, he doesn't really need it. He can lose to Gable and still be over with the crowd. And if anything, he'll slowly in time become more over because he's always been a better underdog than a better champion. Right. And yeah, I do think if Zayn wins clean, there's no turn, Gable doesn't win the title, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be one of those feuds where like it feels like a Chris Jericho program where it's just old, overrun, you miss the moment to strike gold, and it's getting dragged out. So something has to happen to this pay-per-view. I think Gable is really, you know, starting to hit his stride. He's got the "you suck" chance. Like, he's just really becoming a good heel.
There. He's right there.
Like, Zayn, like I said, Zayn will be okay. Like, I don't see a loss here. I don't see a Sami Zayn loss damaging him, but I do see a clean Chad Gable loss really damaging him. So I do think the payoff again is just either you protect Gable with like a turn loss, continue the story in time. Gable finally will win the Intercontinental Championship once she squashes the shit with Otis and the Academy, or B, just pull the trigger, give it to Gable now, move on. But you ready, man? We got 2 world title matches to dive into, and I'm debating. I don't know which one I want to start with, because obviously you know how big of a Cody Rhodes fanboy I am, but as I've already dissected a Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles match before, yes, there's an added stipulation to this one, but I just don't know how different our analysis will be, because I do feel like this is Drew McIntyre's show, and we're probably going to have a little bit more to say. Yeah. So, I'm going to actually flip the script, and I want to start with Cody and AJ. I want to save Drew for later. There's a lot brewing there. Punk, Judgment Day, so much to talk about. Let's just kind of bang out Cody Rhodes. This is Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles 2. It is an I Quit match, which that's always a fun stipulation. I mean, I remember when Cena and Batista had an I Quit match, and I was like, oh shit. Like, it's just always been a really good stipulation, because it's going to get, you know, I mean, brutal by WWE terms. I mean, you know, there might be like a little drop of blood. Oh my god. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun match. It should be a really good showing for both Cody and AJ, and I think it's good. I don't feel like it's you know, like I just made the point about like overstaying its welcome or getting dragged out. They had one match. It was a banger. It was the first time they ever met. Fuck it, continue the rivalry. We all know that this is building to Rhodes and Rock, but Cody and AJ is a great kind of like understudy feud, kind of like to, you know, just drag out until Cody inevitably gets with The Rock. But how are you feeling about this one?
I'm glad you started with this one, but I'm very excited. I actually originally, when it was Cody versus AJ at France, although it was a good match, I wasn't like super sold on it, and I know AJ's retirement thing on SmackDown, it was just a rehash of Mark Henry, but it was perfect. It's exactly what the feud wanted. Feud needed. Sorry. I always said that Cody needed to have like a feud, a long-running feud, and not just these one-off good matches, because we know Cody can make good matches with just about anybody. We just needed a feud. Like I was thinking more something similar to the lines of like Brock Lesnar, his feud with Brock Lesnar last year, but maybe with somebody that will actually appear on weekly shows. And AJ Styles is it. They did it. They nailed it. And then with this whole thing circling around TNA and WWE collaborating, an I Quit match is the perfect stipulation for a match like this. If Cody can get like AJ, it makes it gives it more stakes. It's not as predictable. With an I Quit match, like it could be anybody's game. I think that I think Cody's gonna win, obviously, but like when AJ says I quit, like I want him to mean it. I want him to mean it, that he quits, and then we see him on like TNA or something for the 20th anniversary. That's coming up too, which is like all these things are just happening at perfect times, and I just can't see a world where AJ doesn't show up in TNA for maybe like some collaboration. I don't think he's gonna like rip up his contract for WWE. Like I think he will still be WWE superstar, but he'll be showing up in TNA for the 20th anniversary. All the stuff around it, perfect. This was the perfect match. This is what I'm talking about. Stipulations are sometimes so necessary, and I'm very excited for this. For the first time in Cody Rhodes' reigns, I'm excited for a match.
Yep.
I think Cody's a great champion, and I think he makes good matches, but this feud is good. This feud is really good.
Yeah, it's needed 100%. You always just need those stories, you know? He finished his story, but the story continues, you know?
Right.
Playing on words. But it's true. Like, you just have to...
He said the name.
I plugged the podcast. But, yeah, Cody just really needed a program. Like, I think, you know, if you're looking at AEW right now with the Champ Swerve, like, his crowning moments were when he finally had like a feud with Hangman and like rose to prominence and won the title. With Cody, he had his program with Seth Rollins, but you know, that's aged. Like that's like history. Right. Like you look back on it, cool. He needs something now. He needs a rival. Brock Lesnar was you know, a 2-part saga, I believe. They had 2 programs right there, 2 matches. Obviously Brock has been vanished from the face of WWE. So other than, you know, Rock and Roman, where obviously Cody and Roman are gonna just throw it back on a random Saturday, and Rock's not coming back until at the earliest SummerSlam, if not even until WrestleMania 41. Cody needed somebody, and AJ Styles has really filled that void. AJ is just like, you know, he's already established, as I said earlier, making that point, like he had Undertaker's retirement match. He's already had an incredible run as your WWE champion. He's already done it all, not in just WWE, but in TNA. And as you made the point that I was gonna eventually get to, is like it's the perfect time. Have AJ have this one, possibly last, if not maybe like a 2 out of 3 trilogy with Cody Rhodes, just high profile matches with the champion, the guy. He doesn't need a win, he'll still be fine, and go off to TNA. Like, why not? Why not? Just start making waves on the wrestling industry. I think it'll be healthy just for the industry itself. You know, in AEW, they have Forbidden Door, so AEW's collaborating with New Japan right now, and CMLL, like all these Spanish promotions, you name it. Yep. It's great that WWE isn't just trying to be a monarchy, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, let's collaborate with TNA. You had Jordan Grace on Battleground the other day, and yeah, I mean,
fantastic match.
Multiple people. I know Drew McIntyre made a tweet that like doors open both ways, and Drew obviously had his run in TNA. But if you're a TNA fan at heart, you don't even give a fuck about WWE no more, and you're like, all right, we can take one guy from WWE and bring him to TNA. Who are you gonna pick? if you don't pick AJ Styles, are you even a TNA fan? That is Mr. TNA right there. That man literally rose to stardom just from being in TNA for the longest time. Never came to WWE until what, like 2016, 2017.
Yep.
But even as a WWE fan, if you didn't watch TNA, you have heard of AJ Styles.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just picture perfect timing, story, 20th anniversary, wins all around, and I think people are invested. Like, the whole Mark Henry rehash angle worked. Like, the fake retirement, crocodile tears, and it got people invested. And it's crazy because Cody Rhodes is literally having the whole road that John Cena had however many years ago. Like the win against Brock Lesnar, the blast on the grand stage, the crowning moment, the fake retirement. Like, it's crazy. I need to see like what came next in Cena's timeline, because you already know Cody's just gonna keep fucking replicating it at this point. But as I mentioned, there's one last match, and it's the same man that had his TNA run, Drew McIntyre, in his home. As we start off the podcast, this is definitely Drew McIntyre's night. I am interested to see if maybe they let Drew main event. I mean, I think, you know, if Cody Rhodes is on the match card, he'll always be the automatic slot for main event. But this is one of those nights where either match could take it. I'm gonna say probably like 80% sure it's gonna be Cody's match, but Drew definitely could run with it. I want to see Broken Dreams. I think it's time. Priest does not need a long reign. I want to see McIntyre win it all, take the title in his home, get the massive pop, especially after you put in his time as the COVID champion. And yeah, then you already know where it leads to. I mean, Seth Rollins eventually in the future. Obviously CM Punk. Like, there's so many ways that the World Heavyweight Championship can go after this match. But before we talk about, the aftermath, I want to hear your thoughts on the match itself.
I honestly, this is probably one of the most unpredictable matches, which says a lot for Damian Priest's reign. I feel like a lot of his matches have been very unpredictable. Like, even when he fought Jay at King of the Ring. Was it King of the Ring?
Yep.
That was, yeah. When he fought Jay, like, even though it was like...
No, Backlash. That was Backlash.
Backlash, yes, there you go.
I was like, wait a second.
I'm getting my PLEs mixed up. But when he fought Jay, it's like, well, no, there's no way Jay loses. But then Jay ended up losing, and, Damian kept retaining, and it's making him look really strong because he's fighting these big main event hitters. This is, again, one of those matches where it's just very unpredictable. And I'm honestly okay with both ways. Like you said, if he wins it in his hometown, or his home country, he gets that pop, the flowers he deserves, even more so than WrestleMania 40, dare I say. And then he can go on and do things with that title. But I can also see him not winning. You got to remember, he's not just fighting Damian here. He's fighting all of Judgment Day and potentially CM Punk. Like, CM Punk maybe won't interfere, but he can just be there. And that's enough to get Drew, all angry and distracted or anything. So I feel like it's kind of like it's like a 5v1 with Drew here. So I can see him not getting the gold. And honestly, I'm okay with that because there could still be a lot to go on from there. Like the bigger picture here is we're probably gonna get Drew and CM Punk for SummerSlam, and I think that's the big match of SummerSlam if I were to pick one. If The Rock doesn't get involved by then, they don't need the belt for that feud. Their feud is personal. Yeah. If they had the belt for that feud, I just feel like it would be more of a feud for the belt and not just because they hate each other.
True.
So I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do with that, and I really hope it main events on Saturday. I love Cody and AJ, but I think it should main event. I think Cody and AJ should be right before it or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, I always think if you have a hometown hero on the card and everyone's like hype, I mean, for months, even back at like Mania and prior, any Clash at the Castle poster or anything had Drew McIntyre's face plastered on it. This has been his show, so I'm all for it main eventing. And yes, while I do personally want to see Drew win and have his moment and whatnot, I do still see the possibility where you do just prolong Damian Priest's reign, because I've also read plenty of rumors that it will be Finn Balor ultimately to dethrone Damian Priest, whether that's Finn winning the Money in the Bank, and he's been working with Liv Morgan all along. Like, there's so many developments still with the Judgment Day, and that's why earlier when we had the decision to talk about Cody or Drew's match, I was like, there's so much that can come out of Drew's match. There's so much more to dive into, because I think it is unpredictable. Even though I want Drew to win and think personally that it's the right move, it's one of like 6 moves. You could have Drew lose by interference from the Judgment Day. You could have Drew lose by interference by CM Punk. You could have Damian Priest win clean. You could have Drew McIntyre win clean. You could have Damian Priest win because Finn Balor turns. You could have Damian Priest win because Dom and Liv Morgan get involved. You name it. I could keep going. Like, there's so many storylines.
You can have JD get involved, and then Braun Strowman comes from the backstage and just does, runs around the ring and maybe knocks Damian out or something, or who knows.
Yeah. Maybe you have like Roddy Piper, like AI, pop up on the Jumbotron, and he's like, I love men in kilts, and Drew McIntyre hits the Claymore and wins. Like, who knows? Anything could happen. Anything could happen with this match. I do think while Cody and AJ is going to be like the attraction match in terms of star power, I do think Drew and Damian is going to be the more, I don't want to say fun, because an I Quit match definitely will be fun, but the more anything could happen, like what's gonna happen, like the more like curiosity match, if that makes sense, because obviously we know Cody Rhodes is not losing AJ Styles. That's just it's like, why why would you have that, like AJ doesn't need it, Cody needs to continue his reign. But like this match really could in reality go one of 8 different ways, and I'm very excited to see the like 4 different storylines going on with this. Like, who knows, what if like Seth Rollins comes out, like he has a part in the World Heavyweight Championship match, like like there's just so many possibilities. And as you said, you name dropped Jey Uso. Jey Uso is still one of the top guys in WWE right now. He's not on the card. Maybe they want him to have his little Dallas entrance, just to get the crowd going. And they'll let him do a little run-in or something. Like, I'm very excited. I do think out of the 5 matches, this is the one that I'm definitely most looking forward to seeing. Just for Drew's homecoming, the hope of broken dreams, but just, the possibilities. And, I do think, as you mentioned, Damian Priest's reign so far has been filled with just unpredictable matches. His coronation as champ was also pretty unpredictable. I mean, in the moment when Punk just started beating Drew's ass, you kind of could guess, like, oh man, it's time, like it's WrestleMania, Priest is coming out. But that literally was up until like minutes before it happened. Like, nobody actually thought they were gonna let Priest win the title at Mania. So while this whole title just feels very sprung on and refreshing and new, I think the matches have really been reflecting that, and I'm glad that WWE has a champion that is just providing surprises and uncertainty and curiosity and programs with big main event guys like Jey Uso and now Drew McIntyre. So that's kind of my little 2 cents on this one, but I do think this is the true main event of the night.
I agree. I mean, like, if you look at Elimination Chamber, it was Rhea and Nia that I think main evented over the Roman triple threat. I believe it was Roman, Randy Orton, and I forget who the third one was, but I think was it AJ as well? I think it was AJ. So, or was it a Fatal 4-Way? I don't.
The Fatal 4-Way was Royal Rumble. I don't remember.
Maybe there wasn't. Maybe there wasn't anything in Elimination Chamber.
You're messing me up, man.
I'm a fake fan. But no, they allowed Rhea to main event in Australia, so I would only hope that they allow Drew to main event in Scotland in Clash of the Castle. But I'm very excited.
100%. We'll see if it does get that coveted main event spot. for the World Heavyweight Championship. I also do think it would be good because at the end of the day, you know, Cody is fine. Like, Cody's main evented plenty of programs. Like, he doesn't necessarily need the main event. And I just know this crowd is going to be invested in Drew McIntyre for his night. And, yeah, I think, you know, you got to pull the trigger and let that have the final slot. By the end of the day, no matter what the match card order is, I do think it's going to be a very strong pay-per-view. As you said, I do feel more excited for this one than I did King of the Ring.
Absolutely.
I think it's just a better, well-rounded card with the 4 banger matches and then that tag match. But yeah, I'm very excited. It is this Saturday, June 15th. So make sure y'all tune in, and we'll definitely have an episode afterwards to discuss how the pay-per-view went down. And after that, we have the build continually to SummerSlam. And I believe there's one pay-per-view sprinkled in between there, but I don't remember. Oh, Money in the Bank. Right? Yes. Money in the Bank.
I was going to say, how did you forget that?
Yeah. It'll be Money in the Bank next, which that will have its build. And then SummerSlam, I believe. I don't think there's anything else in between those two.
I don't think so.
Because this was like the one that was always in between. We're like, I think Clash of the Castle's coming up, but I don't know. So it's finally here this Saturday. But yeah, that is our analysis on the matches, our hopes, predictions. It could go in so many different ways, especially for the World Heavyweight Championship match. And yeah, I'm very invested in a lot of the stories WWE has going on right now. And I think it's cool that not even all the stories you're invested in are on this card. I mean, you got no Randy Orton, no Jey Uso, no Kevin Owens,
no Uncle Howdy, as far as we're aware. I mean, it still could be a thing. They could still debut on there, but I feel like they're gonna hang on to that until SummerSlam. But we might get more of it.
Yeah, it'll be WrestleMania 42 when this man finally walks out. At this rate.
That's what it feels like.
At this rate. But yeah, that's another storyline that has been in WWE and brewing. And you know what? There is actually one final question I want to ask before we finish this episode. We're in Scotland. We talked about TNA. There's one man that I want to see come to WWE. Is it happening, Rivera? Is Joe Hendry coming to WWE?
I think it's time. I think he's the one that should stop Drew McIntyre from getting his title reign. I think that I think Drew McIntyre should go for the pin, and then all you hear is his theme song hits.
Say
pop.
His name and that would be fire. I mean, a lot of people were speculating that it would be at NXT Battleground. Did not happen. But I mean, you know, you're in Scotland on a grand PLE, fire crowd. I believe it's his hometown and very close to it. I believe Hendry is from Scotland. So that is just yet another thing that, don't get your hopes up, don't get your expectations up. But, you know, on Twitter, he's been teasing it, and we clearly know that WWE and TNA has a working relation.
I would love a cameo.
And yeah, we would love it, even if it's just like a backstage promo. Like if he comes out or something.
Commercial or something. Like they're advertising chips or something. I would love that.
It. Let us see a little bit of Joe Hendry at this pay-per-view. But I think that's just the icing on the cake. Before the whole Joe Hendry talk is already going to be an incredible PLE that we will all be watching. Make sure you guys are up early because I believe this one's on at like 11 a.m. Eastern or something super early.
Yeah.
I will be watching later in the day, so I got to stay off social media because ain't no way, one, that my ass will be awake and on time and ready, but two, I'm pretty sure I'm working. I got some other shit going on. So I'll be watching later in the day. But as I said, definitely stay tuned for the post-PLE podcast. Rivera will be back definitely for a future episode. Maybe talking Money in the Bank. Definitely we'll have plenty of SummerSlam content, and that's one of the big four. But thank you so much for joining and discussing Clash at the Castle. Definitely going to be a fun out-of-country PLE.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Hey, I gotta say this, you know. When I first started this podcast, I was like, all right, I know my boy Nice Guy's gonna hop on. We're N10, you know. I already know he knows I do YouTube, but I'm gonna bring my boy Rivera on. He just got back into WWE. Like, let's just see how he does. I was a little nervous because Rivera and I know each other from Siege. I'm like, I hope he's good, but what if he's awkward, or like maybe he's not good? Maybe he sends me a recording file and it's fucking corrupted. Like maybe he won't know what he's doing. But after 2 episodes, I think this man's gonna become a fan favorite on this podcast. You have really good analysis, and like half the time you speak better than me about wrestling matches. So you know what you're doing. I think you just, as Logan Paul has a natural gift for being a wrestler, I think Rivera has a natural gift for being a podcaster, content creator, good talker. This man loves to talk.
You could call me an iPad kid. I've spent a lot of my life on YouTube, and I've been looking at how people make videos and structure them and talk. I have oh shoot, I hit my mic, sorry.
He's not as good as we thought.
I have everything, like mostly everything in place for me to make content. I'm just a lazy piece of shit, and I don't. I just don't have the motivation like everyone else does. But when you gave me the introduction, the invite or whatever, I was just like, absolutely. I just had recently got into a D&D podcast, not another D&D podcast. If anyone's into D&D, I also watch Santi Zap, and his podcast weekly. I just had recently got into podcasts. I was like, yeah, I can talk. I'm call me Cody Rhodes. I'm yapping. Like, just put me on this. But yeah, it was overwhelming at first. I was so nervous on the first episode. I hope it doesn't show, but I've been enjoying it. It's been very fun. I appreciate you inviting me.
Anytime, man. We got a good thing cooking, and it's not slowing down anytime soon because wrestling goes 365 days a year.
No
so with that being said, enjoy your viewing of Clash at the Castle until we see you guys again in episode 7. Hey, we're about to reach double digits very soon. Literally, by the time SummerSlam comes around, we're either hitting 10 episodes or already past it. So thank you guys for all the support on the shorts, and all this wrestling talk is what we like as wrestling fans. I mean, we just be watching, and then we come on and we talk about it. So any support is always appreciated. Until Rivera joins us again, and until I'm back with the next episode, peace out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Any final... You had a couple weeks to think. You need a little final, catchphrase. Anything brewing yet, or you still gotta work on it? You should be like,
comment, and subscribe.
Be like, hey guys, bye guys.
I don't have anything, but
we'll workshop it.
Like, comment, subscribe, and support us. That's all I got.
Hell yeah. Let the story continue, and until then, peace out. Have a good one, and enjoy Clash at the Castle, everybody. Peace.